Hello and welcome to Wana Sumo. We are the Sumo Bros. I am the Yokozuna himself, Corey Votour, here with the Ozeki, Connor Smith. How's it going, Connor?
Good, buddy. I'm the faceless Ozeki today.
Yeah, well, we're all faceless. It's audio only. And of course, bringing up the rear, Jurio Corey.
Listen,
The
there's
rear.
nothing wrong with it. I like the rear.
Probably
You know where I'm
Sure you
not.
do.
You know where I'm not the rear? In the standings, bitches.
So, if you watched our first episode, we did like fantasy football, but with sumo wrestling. Kind of changed it up midway, but we finished in points. So Connor finished in the rear with 86 points. I was a dead center with 94 points, and Corey getting 3 points because Hoshoryu, which was his Ozeki, got the Yusho.
Let's go.
So Corey finished with 98 points, winning our first Sumo Bros. What's it called? Sumo Bros.
Sumo? Come on now.
Fantasy Sumo. Let's do that.
We've since then we found a website so that Connor won't have to do it all in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, do you know how shitty it was to do the standings every day and lose?
You're used to managing things that lose, though. Come on now.
Jeez,
That's
that was
mean.
rough.
That was rough. That was rough.
Damn.
All right, so let's get started.
I feel like Koto Sakura feels after that Basho. Fuck.
All right, so let's get started. An interesting Basho for sure. Early in the tournament, Teruno Fuji announces his retirement. Thoughts on this?
Not surprising.
Not surprising, but sad as fuck.
It's really sad, yeah.
I got so out of the tournament after I was staying up every night, and then the night he was like, "Oh, I'm retiring," I was like, "All right, I'll watch the final." He was the only reason I was watching because everybody else has been so off their game lately. It seemed, well, except for a couple, but the ones that should not be off their game were off their game.
Yeah. I don't know how many people have been following us doing sumo. First 3 episodes we ever did was on my other channel, The Maritime Warrior. And I believe on that first episode, I said Teruno Fuji is not meant to be Yokozuna much longer. He got an injury in the late 2010s, and he was an Ozeki. And I believe he fell all the way. He was out for an entire year, I believe. And I believe he fell down to Junokuchi or something like that. And he fought his way back, became an Ozeki, and I believe on Hakuo's final Yusho, he got a 14-1 and was promoted to Yokozuna. But those are big shoes to fill following Hakuho. He became a Dai Yokozuna with 10 Yushos. Was going for 11, but it wasn't in the cards.
Do you think he only retired because of that loss? Like, he looked pretty, because he lost the first day, right?
Did he?
He lost early on, and then he came back and won a little bit, and I thought he was fine. And then he lost again, and then that was it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm of the opinion that this isn't spur of the moment, I'm done. I think this had been going on for a while. Like we mentioned in our group chat, they're going to England this year.
Yeah.
You want a Yokozuna for that.
Well, and the other thing too, like from a pro wrestling aspect, everybody who watches pro wrestling or sumo knows how hard they are on the competitors to be like, "Oh no, you finish until you're hurt and you can't go anymore."
Yep, absolutely.
Like it's 2025. It's not worth it anymore. Like he's got now somebody who can fill his shoes, but at the same time, like it just seemed like he was going because they didn't have anybody else. But I will say, everybody thought he wasn't even going to be in the tournament. And it was pretty badass for him to say, "Oh, you two want to be Yokozuna? You're going to take me out." And then he lost, and now he's gone.
Yeah. Corey, your thoughts on this?
I thought it was really sad. I think prior to the start of the show, we were talking, and I was like, I don't think he goes. Then once the losses came, it's understandable. I don't think he looked bad though.
He
I
didn't
think he
know.
looked fine. But yeah, I don't know. The thing with Yoko is your record at that point, nothing's changing for you. So I feel like there must be an injury. There must be more to it. Unlike Connor, I actually really enjoyed this one. I watched a lot of the Basho. Too much. I watched some of those best of the days. I know Corey, you watched a ton of this one, and
I did not miss it.
you found what Connor and I have been loving for a long time,
Mhm.
Leo Dickinson.
Leo Dickinson is a savior. I was a YouTube only guy, and I tried to find everything. Just sat at my computer, and I the first time I ever saw a Leo Dickinson video, like once it was over, like just going back in the archive, like 9 hours. I'm not watching 9 hours of anything. And then I thought to myself, I'll skip to Makuuchi and I'll skip the commercials and all that. And within an hour, hour and a half, I'd be done. And sometimes I'd start it, drink my coffee, go for my walk, come back, watch a little bit. And sometimes I'd be done at like 7 at night. It would be an all day thing, but I finished them all. I watched them all, and probably the most enjoyable boss show that I've had in years. I'll be honest with you.
You'd watch 9 hours of Ultimate Warrior matches.
No, I don't. I don't. There's not one single thing that I'd watch for 9 hours straight, including Ultimate Warrior matches. It's like the time I realized I can't watch something for very long is we went to go see one of the Lord of the Ring movies back in the day. Those are like 3 hours long, and I passed out during the movie. Like, no joke. I fell asleep at the movie theater snoring like a baby, and I realized 3 hours is too long for a movie. I remember a lot of people are fans of Stranger Things. Well, that last season having a 2 hour episodes and all that, no bueno. Not interested. But another story from this Basho is on day 8. Kitano Waka became Kyujo after he broke his ankle gruesomely.
And of course, he was one of my people in the fantasy.
It wasn't a pretty injury.
No.
I don't know if they thought he could compete, though, because it seemed like it took a while for them to rule him out as injured.
Yeah.
Because he missed the first day, and then somebody came up to fight the second day. I think it was it Ryuden? He had 1 or 2 bouts in the top division.
It's possible.
And then all of a sudden he was just out. So I don't know if they thought he was going to be able to keep going, but it didn't take much to look at that replay on Leo Dickinson to know that he hurt something.
Yeah. Just you hate to see it happen, but like we say with pro wrestling, it is not ballet. The final day of the Boss show, we saw this is only the second time I'm seeing this. We saw a 3-way playoff with Hoshoryu, Oho, and Kinbozan. Kinbozan, if he would have won this Basho, if he would have had the U show, he would have became the first Kazakhstan-born Rikishi to win a U show. Like, sumo's everywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting too because based on the Bonzuke for the next tournament, they're saying that there could be Japanese, Mongolian, Kazakhstani, Ukrainian, and Russian sumos.
It's crazy.
Because Shishi will come up from the second, and there's talks that there will be 3 other people coming up.
Yeah. So here's the how could I say this? Hoshoryu earned a lot of people's respect. He had a fight, and he got the win. Then they drew straws. Hoshoryu had to fight another 2 times and got the win both times. He is now being promoted. It was something that we weren't sure about. He is being promoted to Yokozuna on January 29th. He will be the 74th Yokozuna, By the time this comes out, he will already be a Yokozuna. Thoughts on him becoming the 74th Yokozuna?
Voted in unanimously, right?
Correct. It was a clean sweep.
I wondered after we talked about this earlier. I wonder if they would have voted unanimously if he had have just won. Do you think those extra 2 bouts are what pushed him? And they saw, wow, holy, he fought 3 times tonight and he won each time. Not only did he win the 2 playoffs, I know Koto Sakura didn't have the best tournament, but he beat the guy that he lost to the last time before he even went into those 2 bouts.
Yeah. I think the reason he got promoted is that UK thing that they're going to be doing. They want a Yokozuna for that. They don't have one. I think the last time that they said that there was legit no Yokozunas for any portion of time was between 1992 and 1993. Now, I could be wrong here. I could be very wrong. But I think it was Asahi Fuji who was promoted in 1990, and he retired in 1992. And the next Yokozuna that would be promoted would be in 1993, which was Akebono.
So it was, I just looked it up, that no Yokozuna from 1992 to 1993.
So that was the last time there was no Yokozuna.
But Hoshoryu's uncle was a Yokozuna?
Asashoryu. And I will be mentioning him in a second. So let me give you a few stats here. 1960s, Taiho, 32 Yushos. 1970s, Kita no Umi, 24 Yushos. 1980s, Chiyo no Fuji, 31 Yushos. In the 1990s, Takanohana, 22 Yushos. In the 2000s, Asashoryu, Hoshoryu's uncle, with 25 Yushos. And then in the 2010s, Hakuho, with 45 Yushos. You have that dominating figure every decade. And the 2010s doesn't seem like it's going to have that guy. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think Hoshoryu becomes this dominant Yokozuna. I think he goes the way of Kisano Sato and Kakuryu, where he might get another Yusho, but the only way to go is down. I don't think he becomes a Dai Yokozuna like Teruno Fuji, winning 10. I just don't. Who could be that next dominating figure? Because you look at those Yushos, 32, 24, 31, 22, 25, 45 Rahakuho. I don't see anybody right now that could be that.
The thing about Hoshoryu is he's only 25.
Well,
it just depends how healthy he stays, right?
That's what I was going to say. That could be old for a sumo wrestler.
Like, you look at Tamawashi. He could be like him, or he could just...
He's the exception to the rule, though.
He's the exception to the rule. There was a bout during the Basho. I forget who the other one was. But Tamawashi had made his debut when this kid was only 6 months old, and now he's fighting him in the Basho. How crazy is that? He debuted in 2004. He's in his 21st year as a Rikishi.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Pretty cool.
I don't even really know who could step up, because there are 2 other guys who were in the talks of potentially becoming a Yoko.
Let's talk about Koto Sakura first, because Leo Dickinson did mention that the last time that Koto Sakura had a poor performance like this, he was absolutely hiding an injury. And it's one of those things where you kind of look at it and you're like, he's clearly injured. You know, changed Mawashis for some reason. I was used to the blue. That helped for a couple of days. What are your thoughts on the Mawashi colors? I like it when they're colorful. It's like they're gimmick. Like Ura, it's the pink Mawashi.
It's like you said. I like how some of them are known for the color.
Yeah. But Koto Sakura bounce back next Basho?
here's my question, even more so than that. How much can he lose before he is demoted?
So here's the thing. He is Karoban, which means against the wall, basically. Like, he needs 10 wins the next Basho. He needs 10 wins to get that Karoban. Right now, he's a Karoban Ozeki.
Do you think it has to do for some of the guys with the bi-monthly tournaments? Like, do you think some guys would have a better performance if they went instead of 2 weeks every 2 months, a week every month? Because like he just won, and now he's off on the line of what happens.
I don't know, because here's the thing. A lot of the Yokozunas from the past had like 10 days or 7 days. Like, it wasn't always 15 days.
Right.
Like, the 15-day thing has started maybe in the 40s, 50s. I'm honestly not sure. But it's always been bi-monthly. Always. It's always been January, March, May, July, September, November. It's always been that. So
it became 15 days long in May 1949.
There you go. So, and I find that 15 is a good number.
It is, yeah.
Because I get as excited when I see two guys that are 7-7 facing off on day 15.
Yeah. I would rather
one has to win, one has to lose.
I don't like watching it during the week. I like to watch it on the 2 weekends just because it like you're at the start and then you're at the finish. And some guys have a disaster between there. But I don't know. I don't know if he's going to bounce back. Like he looked awful.
He didn't look good.
He didn't even look in not the last boss show before this, but the one before that. He looked bad in that too.
Yeah. Corey, your thoughts on Koto Zakura?
I bounce back.
You think he bounces back?
100%. No doubt in my mind.
We got another young Ozeki right now in Onosato. And he is the youngest from beginning his career to reach Ozeki. He has the record. Could he potentially be that dominant Yokozuna that we're looking for?
Yeah, he finished 10-5. He's never finished below 9 wins, which is pretty impressive. Look, I mean, he's only been in the top division for a year.
Yeah, so, that hasn't been long.
I mean, he could. It's just like, I don't want to say yes, because every time I say somebody's going to do good, they either get hurt or they suck. But, like, I think he has more potential out of the two of them.
I agree. Corey, what do you think?
I think it's a little bit too early to say. I think, what was your number there, Connor? How long has he been top?
He's been top. This was his his 7th. So this was his 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, to me, a little bit too early to say. Good record though.
Do you think they're stronger, like him and Hoshoryu, because they're from the West?
Oh, that's a good question. Because, some people do say that makes a difference.
I mean, when you look at the standings, like they were pretty even this time around.
Yeah.
But like at the top, it's pretty, I don't know. Like Wakataka Kage was awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wakataka Haru was terrible. But I mean, some guys just, I don't know how they stay so high up.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and that's the thing now. Like, it's not even so much how is everybody at the top going to do? How hungry is everybody at the bottom? Because there are some guys in the middle of the pack right now that do not want to lose.
Yep. It's an interesting thing, and you got gatekeepers too, guys that are there. They usually do pretty well, but they're not lighting the world on fire. Like a Shodai comes to mind, and Ura, and Tobizaru, Abi.
Tamawashi's pretty good still for how old he is.
Tamawashi. Yep.
He seems to be in the mix every time. Like wasn't he like 9-1 at one point.
Yeah. I know that this was his 93rd straight Basho.
Sick.
So, like, in the top division, too. And like I said, he debuted in 2004. So, he's got a career that's been over 20 years old.
He said he had the most wins this tournament than he did in the last year.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it was an interesting Basho. The next one, we will have a new Yokozuna in Hoshoryu. Any final thoughts before we sign out?
There's some good guys coming from the Juryo division. If Io Nishiki gets up, like, I think he only has maybe even, I don't even know if he has 10 losses so far.
Really?
And, like, that's what I mean. The guy, like, Shishi had a pretty bad performance last time, but you can tell he wants to get back to the top.
Shishi is one of those guys to me that he will thrive in Juryo, and then he gets to Makauchi, and it's just not there. Like, he just gets outclassed. So, like, if you look at Juryo as wrestling and it would be the mid card, he'd be a mid carder for life, in my opinion.
Io Nishiki is 48-12.
Crazy.
Sorry, 60-12. He's only had 12 losses. He got to, if he gets promoted for where he finished, which he should, he was in the top 3. He was only in Juryo for 2 tournaments.
Crazy, yeah.
So it should be him, Shishi, and Raiden. I don't know if there will be a 4th, but I would think there is with the math, because they were down 2 from the, well, once Terunofuji was out, they were 3 away from the number that they should be at. And I can't imagine whoever came last is staying up, because there were some guys at the bottom who barely won.
Isn't Io Nishiki only 20 years old as well? Like, it's just a weird...
That could be the next...
Yeah, he's not even 20. Sorry, yes he is. He'll be 21 March 23rd.
That's crazy.
So he's not even going to be 21 when he'll still be 20 when he hits the top division.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It feels very much like a youth movement. We had a long period of time with Hakuho as the main guy. And then there's this lull period of no... Like, Hakuho's the most successful Yokozuna that there's ever been. 45 U shows. All right? The closest to him is... Who was it? It's Taiho at 32 U shows. So, you know... we will be back. So here's the plan with Sumo Bros. When the Basho happens, first of all, Mondays. When episodes do come out, it'll be on Mondays. I am planning on doing not too long videos, but a series called Sumo Legends, where I highlight classic sumo wrestlers, and Connor and Corey are welcome to do some too. Just, it won't be every week. I want to make that crystal clear. It will not be every week. Wanna Sumo, this series right here, 2 videos, 1 giving our predictions, and then 1 once it's done. So on Mondays, 6 p.m., that's our golden spot. That will be Wanna Sumo and Sumo Legends on Sumo Bros. So, any final words from the 2 gents?
Not much. I think that if anybody is like thinking about getting into sumo, now would probably be the easiest time to get into it, so you don't need to know who everybody is.
Absolutely.
I couldn't have got into it at a better time, because I could see it's nice to see the passing of the torch for the Yokozuna.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice that there's only 1. Now, with that said, there's still potential that if the other 2 Ozeki get 2 wins or the equivalent, could end up with 3 Yokozunas by the end of the year.
We could. So, Corey, any final words?
No, I've got nothing. I agree with Connor. I think it's a good time to get into sumo. I've been watching for a couple of years now. I think I got into it at a pretty sweet time too. But Yeah, I tried to get Tracy into sumo this time. She watched some sumo. She enjoys the rituals, the way that it is, like, it feels grounded in history. So check it out. Leo Dickinson Sumo.
And with that, that'll be the end of episode 2. I've been your host, Corey. Thank you to Corey and Connor for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so we'll see you next time, and keep your feet on the doyo.